Alright, let's get some basing done on these guys. We're just going to take some dark earth from AK. Get a good chunk. Eat. Honestly, I feel like I could almost use the rest of this bottle, but we'll start small and make more if we need to. Alright. Goop. Goop, goop, goop. And coconut fiber. This hasn't been sifted or anything, so there's long and short and all kinds. And we're just kind of mixed to taste, probably a 20-80 ratio, give or take. This just kind of helps give it more organic feel instead of just like, hey, it's earth. Like this gives it some lumps and irregularities, and there's little coconut hairs and everything, but you can pull those out even after it dries if you really need to. Not even going to take this off the base because we want it to look, well, that's got some time. Got our little gravestones that I 3D printed. These are just rattle canned. And these are just 3D printed out. They're all various sizes and whatnot. Slap all this on super duper fast. Big for this one. We want to find some that are right sizes that aren't going to just completely dominate. But, you know, we want them to look part of the scene. Roll through this pretty quick. Majorly long, but I really like the idea, the aesthetic that Goolsby had behind this. We don't want to put them all the same way. Give them a little bit of variety. There. Running through it quickly, you know, some of them are straddling it and some of them are moving around them. All kinds of different stuff. There we go. Boom, that'll dry super duper fast. Go ahead and start using our basing material or basing stuff. And if it gets a little bit on their feet, that's completely fine. They're moving through this graveyard. Make sure you get some irregularities, high points, low points. Most graveyards are fairly uniform, but it's still, you know, it's still earth. And with miniature painting, you know, a little bit of something can go a long way. Clean up the rim as we're finishing up. I'll make sure you're not leaving really any gaps. And push it right up on the feet. It'll, this will reduce down a certain extent. So, wham. Super fast. The whip I am going to pull up. I don't really want to get a ton on it. I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to be sitting on this stuff. We're going to do our best to keep it clean since it's made out of energy. We want to let it read as such. And we can come back with a wet brush. Clean a lot of the stuff that we don't want off of different places, because this was matte varnished beforehand. I will varnish it again, but I just wanted to make sure before, varnish is your save point. I did it before I did all the highlights and washes and everything, just to help with that. There we go. I mean, it is easier to do these bases with the minis off of them, but if you're wanting them incorporated, and Goolsby wants this to be, the guy I'm doing the commission for, wants this to be gritty and grimy and grungy and everything in that, this really goes along with that. Pushing this so it's not just like super duper clean, which I think is the kind of the appeal of Mandalorian, like especially the beginning seasons and everything, because it's grimy, it's gritty. Like, yeah, he gets his Beskar and it's all nice and shiny and everything, but it gets dirty a lot. It's a believable feel in between their toes. There we go. Bloop. Yeah. Sound effects make better, easier to paint. Sound effects, more effective painting. Yeah, I'll come back with a damp brush and clean up some of the feet, not all of it. I want to clean up all of it. It's that quandary of, does the paint job, do you want to cover up some of your paint job for a little bit of realism? No, I don't mind so much covering up my paint if it helps the model look better overall. Fish guys look like they're squishing this soil in between their noses. That. Excellent. Yeah. Just wipe the excess off with your thumb. No big. Got a blob. Squish. Squish the blobs. Old goop. Old extra goop. Goop. Stay together. Goop wandering around on your tool. That one's trying to do. Goop wandering. Ugh. Yeah. Doop, 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 doop. Just enough space between their toes. Somewhat bothersome. Said, wet brush, clean it up. Bam, bam. Yeah, I should, time allows, be able to get their squad done this week. Maybe Yoda. Maybe shouldn't take too terribly long. And then we'll get this out on the table to its owner to defeat many, many foes. At least that's the goal. Paint makes them roll better. Or conversely, if you personally spend a ton of extra time painting something and you're super proud of it, it's either going to get wiped off the board at the very beginning, or it's going to stick around the whole time and roll for crap and not be a threat to anybody. That's the majority of the stories I hear on freshly painted minis for gaming. I know most of my stuff I've done for D&D that I get excited about and to play when I get to play just rolls for crap the entire session. But, part of it. It happens. Sometimes the dice love you, sometimes they hate you. Yeah, I got a couple of projects lined up after this one. Goodness, most of them are Legion related. Got some bolt action. Also got some terrain I'm working on. Just the base mesh, it's 3D modeled. Base mesh is getting there. Trying a couple different things, seeing what works, what's going to end up working the best for the entire series of buildings. You never know. Modeling, I'm having to reteach myself Blender. Been a hot minute. All right. Well, I used less of that than I thought I would. Cool. Let's see if we can. I'm just gonna put this in a little container real quick, see if it holds over for the next squad. If not, I mean, I'm not stressing it, but we'll see if that happens. We'll just put the lid on that guy instead of transferring. Save time and effort. Oh, work smarter. Yada yada. Yeah. Tool off. There. That. All right. Gonna do a little bit. Let's see here. I'm gonna clean a little bit of this stuff off. Dries. Snotty's hobbies. Yes, they are Pykes. They are a commission based on the Crimson Ghost from the Misfits. Here's one all dried and finished up. I'm using as my base model. I gotta do a little bit of pigment powders on them and everything, but he wanted them kind of grungy and gross. Oh, what's up, Dave? Yeah, I absolutely remember. Thanks. I've actually I got some clones that I'm painting up for myself from Darkfire that you hooked me up with, and you helped out with that and everything. Because I'm actually gonna get to play Legion for once, which is nuts. So I'm debating about doing a another video, Darkfire video, of like, 3D printing viable for Legion, because I know people do that for Warhammer. Yeah, I know, for real. What's gaming? The past 4 times I've gone down to my LGS and people have been like, we're doing a Legion night or whatever. Like, no one's been there. So it's been kind of frustrating. Man, I always want stuff from Darkfire. Like, they're probably my favorite proxy thing. I was tempted to message you, but I didn't want to bother and be like, hey, are they doing anything else? Do they want? Because if I know they just did a wrecked dropship, if they did a wrecked ATTE, dude, they hooked me up and let me sell those 2 at that con, and those things sold so quick. It was awesome. People were going bananas over them. ATTE. Yeah, the one I did the video for. I don't know if you remembered, but I asked you if it was cool. You know, I was asking like how much a, right? I think I emailed them, and yeah, okay, I'm rambling, but yeah, that was great, and people absolutely loved them. But yeah, I would love to do another video with their stuff. I I absolutely love their stuff. I finally got my printer dialed back in. My screen died, and I got one of those replacement uh, screens, and it took me a minute to kind of get everything back where it was supposed to be, which was frustrating. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. It's the is this the skirmish to for the spec ops, or is this their skirmish stuff that I've seen that's Shatterpoint scale? Nice. Yeah, absolutely. How have you been, by the way? Last time I talked to you, you were out traveling. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, cool. I hope that's a good thing. What a cowboy. Not familiar with that. I've been getting into a lot of bot war, which is awesome. That's cool. Western stuff is always neat. Bot War is it's an Australian-based skirmish game. It's 10 millimeter, but all of the robots are like 40 mil. Uh, it's a nostalgia's 80s game. It's got like the equivalent of Autobots, Decepticons, Dinobots, Mask, GI Joe, like all this stuff. Cobra. Hold on, let me grab some of the minis there because it's yeah, the rules are for free. I've done a battle report. Gorilla, um, Ash, Gorilla War Games has done a bunch. Um, hold on, let's see. Actually, I think I've got them all in a box. Hold on, like 2 seconds. Like this is the leader of the Valiants, Ducal. He's Robot Gandalf. This is like his third incarnation. This is one of their dudes. He can teleport around, supercharge. He's like my favorite one. And I've got like $500 worth of stuff from them coming in. This is the group. If Cobra had giant stompy robots, this was them. So, and then it's 10 mil. So, you know, all the humans are like this big. Yeah, and not only are the minis super duper cool, but the system, the system is what really grabbed me. Yes, you can use Drop Zone Commander. I actually use a lot of Drop Zone Commander terrain for this, printed out and whatnot. But yeah, it's a super intuitive. It's played on a 3x3. I can't say enough good stuff about it. It's one of those where it's a incredibly simple game on the surface, but when you really get into it, like it's got a whole lot of depth. Right. I've heard a lot of people recently talking about how good uh drop ship, like that whole series, like drop ship and drop zone and everything. But yeah, I've been running a couple of demos of it and trying to talk it up, and like my past 5 of 6 videos have been on bot war. Yeah, I'm trying to build up a bot war community here, so I feel you on the trying to get things going. But I've had a lot of love and luck coming from the Legion community. I went to a con trying to get my commission business starting, like just giving it a try, seeing if it's viable or not. And man, the response I got from that community was so positive and helpful. It was nuts. Yeah, it really is. People will expect a lot from you and not really give anything in return. I learned that from trying to build role playing game communities. But, if you love something enough, then it's worth the frustration of the possibility of actually getting something going. All right. Well, thanks for swinging by. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll definitely send you a DM and everything and yak at you. Yeah, yeah. You'll like it. I guarantee. All right. Just for reference, that first layer was just dark stone. It's just really deep, uh, deep brown. Just taking a big old beat up brush, just dabbing at these stones, building up some layers. This is Bastion Gray, which is my favoriteest gray. It's from P3, and if you can find it, I highly recommend it. I think I pretty much every video I think I paint with it, and then I talk about how great it is. But this is almost like a stippling dry brush. Like there's not much on the brush at all. Just want to build up some layers, some texture, make this look rougher. Like they did a good job on these 3D models. Like it's pretty rough anyway, and I'm just trying to make it look even more rough, like really old, aged stone. And usually when I dry brush or I'm doing something similar, I do the dry brushing on the top of my wet palette, but I actually want to take the medium out of the paint and give it that dusty feeling. So I am using paper towel. So it'll give it that more old, textured, weather beaten, dusty look. And then this last color, I'm not even worrying about like cleaning my brush. I'm just kind of rubbing it on there. And this last color is ash gray. Just a very, very, very light gray. And this one's going to be the most sparing. We could even add some green on here if we wanted to, you know, like some moss or something. But I'm not going to put any greenery on the ground texture, so I think I'm going to abstain. And it's just one of those nice little extra details that you could do to show age. Head dudes. One is looking the best, which is, you know, good, because that's what you want your last dude off the table, the unit leader that everybody's looking at to look the best. Second's not looking too shabby either. Of course, I'm a fan of all these guys. I wouldn't mind keeping these for myself. I like them so much. Super cool paint job to do. Yeah. But there we go. Tombstone's done. Let's see if we can get a little bit off this whip. There we go. You just gotta let it. Gotta either get it when it's wet, like very, very wet, or when it's super dry. This whip doesn't have enough punch in it, so I think I'm going to take some magenta and very, very sparingly use it, give it some punch. When this dries, I'm going to use some Gothor Brown, really kind of muddy color brown, like something as soon as you look at it, you're like, that looks like mud. And then just dry brush around the outside of the perimeter. Keep the inside darker, and then dry brush around it once this is dry. Helps bring in focus, and then paint the rims black. So yeah, all I got to do is do that, and then I'm going to try to do the Crimson Ghost face on this jewel. If not, we'll try something different. But you never know. Could work. Stuff is lifting. I think it interacted with the super glue and was wanting to go for a ride. All right. So we're going to get our little oil palette. As Sumikito says. Sorry for the terrible impersonation. It's okay. He'll never see this. And if you ever do see this, hey, let's hang out. We're on the same Discord. I mean, that bit that I got right there, I probably could have just gotten the stuff right off of the bit, but I'm gonna water. I'm going to thin this down pretty much to a wash. Want this really, really diluted. I'm just gonna come in here where the white, I already did like a white wash. Just didn't quite have the punch I was looking for. You can do this with acrylics. I just prefer oils. Also, you know, the reason why I like oils is if you boo-boo, go uh-oh, or if you don't like it, then you can just come in and erase it. I got a day to figure out if I like this or not. Or for the customer to get a hold of me, and if they watch this and be like, nope, I don't like that. It's a lot less work than acrylics where you have to repaint the whole thing. This, I can come in with some mineral spirits and have it fixed in a matter of seconds. And we're just gonna work it and feather it out just a little bit. Running through, just static. And then we're gonna do a little tiny stripe on the inside and the outside, just to kind of give the idea of a core. And this still fits with the Misfits theme. Like they use a lot of really saturated purples and yellows, which is why the stripes on the head are like that. But yeah, I think that's gonna look really good. Probably come in with some whites on the very, very tip. Fix that up. I've got this black that's been sitting in here for like 2 weeks. But a little bit white spirits. We can revive this. There we go. There we go. Don't need much. I'm gonna be doing a little bit of negative painting, which I haven't done in a minute. I really like doing. So we got the face is going to be white. So what we're going to do is fill in the negative space, which for something this small and detailed, I find can be a lot easier. We're not looking to nail it on the first go. We want to take our time and we can build it up. We can sketch it in. And again, since this is oils, mess up, come in, erase it. To or change. Yeah, I don't think any of my brushes have a good enough tip left to pull this off. think we're gonna do. Get my brush off. Clean that off. Clean. Wunderbar. And I've got some new brushes coming in. I have to be patient. I think I'm going to use some of this magenta wash. Give us nice bright orb. Even going to just use some of the straight magenta paint. This will be a nice, like, punchy contrast. Little line up here. We want to give it not a glow per se, but we want to definitely let it have a reflection. I'm going to brush off, and I just want one little clean spot there. Clean spot. Very nice. And reinforce the darker part. Clean up where we don't want anything to be. This is why oils, speed paints, so much fun. You can do reductive method with them. That is your thing. Yeah, got his little gym going on, a little Jimmy Jim. Just his eyes a tad bit. They're not bad. I like them to be a bit more. Yeah, there we go. And that's one of the cool things, like a tiny little touch here or there can, I mean, honestly, that's what really separates a lot of work, is people knowing when to just, or how, both, you know, when and how, just add one, not even full brush stroke, just one tiny touch paint to something. The more you look at stuff, and the more you up your painting IQ, the more you'll start, you know, even if your hand or your painting skill can't quite translate it, like if you can see what someone does and can realize why, you know, they're good because of X, because when they did this one painting, painted this one miniature, they did, you know, this one thing, you know, used a blah 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 technique to generate a specific effect like that. That goes a long way, being able to recognize something along those lines. When you get the ability to recognize it, eventually practice, you'll be able to do it yourself. At least that's my theory. Yeah, now that that whip's drying, that's gonna look real good. I got a little bit of white here. Let's go ahead and chop those bits. Could probably use some buff. That would probably be smart. Just because it's got that yellow, it's got that contrast. The purple. I mean, it's not yellow, but it's got some hints of it in it. But I think white works well too. Just come back and go over the white with that buff. I just don't have it on my palette at the moment. It's tipped, look. Nice and charged up. Same thing with the core. Zerp, 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 zerp. Maybe. This doesn't make sense. Physics standpoint, but a little bit right here. Just a little hint. Just a little bit of power. Meow. Meow. There we go. Awesome. All right. That's all we needed for the oils. Do have to wait for those to dry, but we can. And paint our rims black, because unless we're just extraordinarily messy when we're brushing on the last bit of brown, we're not going to need to worry about it. Go. These look pretty dope. That's not a word I use commonly. This has got me even more excited for Yoda. Go. And I gotta get my arcs and whatnot painted. Trim all to go. Would like to go ahead and get the dry brushing done, but that's a bad idea. I'm just going to cause a big mess that will make me redo everything all over again. I learned that lesson the hard way before. I was like, oh, that's dry. It wasn't dry. Looked dry. I've learned that basing material, you need to, just to be safe, I just give it overnight. I'll do it first thing in the morning. go. Bam. All right. This guy, though, I am going to do the pigment powders on because this was my test model. Everything is dry, has been dried, has been varnished. Yada, 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 yada. All that good stuff. Clean my brush out. All right. So, homemade pigment powders. This is just acrylic pastels. Do not use oil pastels if you're going to do homemade pigment powders. They do not crush up the same. I want this nice, dark, earthy brown. I know that this kind of a lighter gray. I could probably maybe go with this charcoal color. Get some green. Use for some moss. We can do multiple kinds. It's fine. Yeah, there we go. Layers. The more you layer, better something's gonna look. This I'm trying not to be too heavy-handed with when I use the mineral spirits to tamp it down. It'll help. I use a little bit of gray, not much, right around the edges. That's just gonna desaturate it a little bit more, make it a little grosser, a little grimier. Run it up the legs a little bit. Make this, give this a nice, lovely vignette. And then we can try, if it doesn't work, we can always wipe it off. We can get some of this really dark green right here. Put it on the tombstone. Give it some moss. Add a lighter on top of the darker. Yeah, real subtle. But put that green on there. Make it look like it's a super duper old thing. Tombstone. Words are hard. And yeah, that's the completed picture, and that's gonna look super sick in a squad. Once everything dries, do that up. And that was the black and red squad. Then I'll start working on the red and black squad. It's gonna be awesome. So these guys, I'm probably gonna go ahead and jump off stream, mostly because I can't talk tonight, stuttering a lot, and start working on these guys. Same principle as the other ones, just in reverse. Same thing, using buff to highlight, doing the oil wash, all that fun stuff. God, that looks so good. Loving those bases, loving this whole vibe and look. Yeah. So, I may be on tomorrow. I will talk to Goolsby, see if he wants to jump on. Yeah. So we got this guy. We're going to do this squad up, which is going to be the exact same set as the previous ones. Same basing theme and everything. They're just going to be reverse colors. So they're easily distinguished, and they have little yellow markings, yellow highlights instead of purple. So thank you, everybody. And if anybody's still there, remember, do one thing every day that scares you. Bye.